All right, guys, we're live. We do have a millionaire maker here on DraftKings. Only a cool $2,500 entry for all you high rollers out there. But solid 8-game slate. We still have some news to keep an eye on. A lot of teams are shorthanded, so we have the Suns on the slate again. We have the Pistons on the slate again. Should be fun. I am so excited to talk about those teams. But we'll just go over everything that we know so far, and then we'll just open up some questions. So thanks again for everyone checking out the stream as always. We'll be live for about 30 minutes or so, and let's do it. So, frustrating underdog, just so we're up to date and everything. Those Suns guys that missed last game, Shamit, Ayton, and Paul, are all out again. They did sign Saben Lee, and I don't know if he's going to be available or not tonight, but I signed him to a 10-day contract. So, Saben Lee could see the court. I don't know that for sure. If not, then I believe they have 9 available players, just like last night. Anthony Edwards' status up in the air. I think he plays. He was questionable last game, and he ended up playing. DeRozan, do not expect him to play. He was in flip-flops at shoot-around, so he should be out. Don't know the status of RJ Barrett. If he plays, Knicks guys just kind of become secondary options if he misses. I mean, Randall and Brunson are going to do everything. I don't know if you saw was it last game or 2 games ago? Randall started like 1 of 10 or 0 of 10 and still finished like 50-plus fantasy points. Just absurd. The Wizards, right, we don't know the status of 3 guys, Porzingis, Gafford, and Kispert. That could open up a lot of minutes in usage, so that's pretty important. Again, we got the Suns news. Keldon Johnson's status up in the air. Do you want to play Spurs value on this slate? That's like, Herb Jones doubtful, don't expect him to play. I would guess that we get Dyson Daniels in the starting lineup. And then Kevin Huerter, questionable, not a big deal, but he misses. Probably get Terrence Davis in the starting lineup, and then probably just more minutes for a guy like Malik Monk off the bench. And Marcus Smart, Rob Williams, both questionable as well. If they miss, you probably get more minutes for the likes of like Grant Williams, Brogdon, Derek White. I don't think any of those guys would be priorities, though, on the slate. So, just a quick rundown of everything so far. But yeah, I'll open it up for some questions, DFS or PrizePicks related, whatever you guys want. If you guys can check out my PrizePicks video today, 2 picks I took are Jason Tatum less than 4.5 assists and CJ McCollum less than 41.5 fantasy score. There's a lot of games on this slate that could blow out. If you take a look at the odds, the Denver game isn't up, but I think that's like at least 12, 13 points. You got 6 points in this Pistons Timberwolves game. I still think that it could blow out. This Pistons team is really, really bad. 9.5 in that Pels Celtics game. 13.5 Spurs Grizzlies. 9 points in the Rockets Kings. I think the Nuggets are probably going to be like 14, 15 point favorites against the depleted G League Suns. So there is, at least on PrizePicks, when you're taking player props, there's merit to taking a lot of unders and then hoping a game blows out, right? If Westbrook didn't play meaningless minutes in the fourth quarter, I would have hit a 10x, right? Because I had all unders in that Lakers-Nuggets game the other day, and it was looking like it was going to hit. But again, Westbrook was still in the game down 20 with like 2 minutes to go, and he ended up being the one that missed. But enough of me talking now. Open up some questions, guys, so leave them in the chat. Again, appreciate you guys for watching. If you do enjoy these Q&A streams, just make sure to like, subscribe, just hit the notification bell so you know when future content's coming out. And let's do it. Aaron Holiday or Dyson Daniels? Yeah, so with Trae Young out, I think I prefer Dyson Daniels. I don't even know if Aaron Holiday for sure starts for the Hawks. Like, he has started a couple games here when they've been missing one of Murray or Trae, but I don't think it's like a guarantee that he for sure starts. Even so, like, I'm not really confident in his minutes. When you have, like, there's just so much other value, like so much more shorthanded teams that I don't think I want to be looking to a guy like Aaron Holiday. So I would rather go to Dyson Daniels. I'm pretty sure he's going to start. He started the second half last game. He was not great, dealt with a bit of foul trouble, but with that shooting guard, small forward eligibility, it's also, I think, a bit easier to get to him too. So yeah, Dyson Daniels for me. Do we really have to deal with this? Suns? Yeah, unfortunately we do. And the Suns, there's like a couple different ways you can go about it, right? Are you playing for a competitive game? You're playing for a blowout. You're playing for a competitive game. You look to Mikal Bridges. You look to, Torrey Craig, Dario Saric. You're playing for a blowout, maybe looking at a guy like a Koji, maybe a Jock Landale, a Dwayne Washington, right? So there's a few different ways you can go about this. Again, I'm a little bit worried about this status. Like, if Saben Lee's available, they have 10 guys. So that like he would most likely be on the court too if the game blows out. So that's why I think it's actually relatively important to see whether or not Saban Lee's going to be active, as weird as that sounds. Jamming the Suns in a back-to-back against Denver team just feels off. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing, like, I think there's a pretty good chance the game does not stay competitive. So, like I said, you could play for the blowout, which is certainly viable. If you do think it stays competitive, like I said, there's a few guys you can target. Bridges probably the first guy. But I think like Bridges and Craig would be the two guys that would go to the bench first in a blowout. So they probably have the most risk, factoring in price too. How do you prioritize lineups tonight? Well, I don't think there's anyone at like the very, very top that you absolutely need. There's a lot of good, really good mid-range plays, kind of in that like 7 to 9K range. A lot of really good options. So at the very top, I don't think there's any priorities for me. Jokic has risk, potential blowout. Same with Jason Tatum. Same with Sabonis. Like these three, all games that could stay competitive, but they also could blow out. Randall, we don't know the status about RJ Barrett. Giannis has not been great, but I think if you're going to make me pick like one of these guys at the top, it probably would be Giannis. And looking at ownership too, that's what ownership is saying as well. Like Giannis is the most popular of these like 10K plus guys. So I guess if you're going to someone at the very top, it's probably Giannis Antetokounmpo. We have 10 guys and they're all 5K. Yeah. Yep, I agree. Saban would be the 10th if he's available. He's not in the player pool, so you can't play him, but if he's available, I think he would see like garbage time minutes. Playing Nuggets, Suns, showdown. Jokic captain, 5 Suns, a decent play. If you think it stays competitive, but if the Nuggets just blow out the Suns, which is relatively likely, you probably need Jokic plus at least one more of those main Denver guys. And add in Saban Lee. Well, we don't know if he's active. I asked Underdog if he was active. No response yet. So I'm not sure. Last time, I don't know if it was for the Suns or not. Might have been the Suns. He was active, but he didn't play. It might have been Phoenix. It was someone early in the year. Saban Lee was on a team, and he was active, but he didn't play. Let's just see if we have any other news here. It's coming up. So we got 340 right now. Okay. Nothing else. Bucks Hawks stay competitive with Trae Young out. Well, where are we at right now in that one? 4.5 points. So, I mean, the Bucks have not been playing the best basketball of late. They also don't have Chris Middleton. So, if this game was being played at Milwaukee, I think there'll be a bit more concern. But since it's being played in Atlanta, I think it better chance than not of staying competitive. So yeah. Again, with Trae Young out, I think DeJounte Murray obviously stands out as a phenomenal play here. Not been playing the best over the last couple of games, but does not matter. Right, with Young out, his role completely changes. Bogdanovich gets a bump. John Collins gets a bump if he can stay out of foul trouble. Right, but a little bit worried about the Hawks front court going up against Giannis. DeAndre Hunter looks a little bit better. So, yeah, like the Hawks could just start Trae or Jante, Bogdanovich, Hunter, Collins, Okongwu. Like they might just run that starting lineup out there. All right. Harrison Barnes over 15. All right, let's take a look. So we are waiting on Kevin Huerter news, which is somewhat significant, right? Not like massive news, but that is something to keep an eye on. Let me just look. I'm going to refresh a couple things on my end. I just want to see. I have a few projections up. I just want to see where they're having Harrison Barnes. I do like the matchup a lot. That Kings Rockets game is a game that should be played at a very fast pace, and there should be very little defense. I think your worry there is the Kings just run away with it, right? But let's see. I have them right at that, like you said, is 15.5, right? Yeah, I have it like right at that mark. So I think it would probably be a stay away. Who's a guy tonight that triggers nobody runs worse tweet? Someone that's going to be in my lineup, and I don't know who's going to be in my lineup yet because I usually don't build my lineup until like an hour-ish before lock, maybe even 45 minutes. So one of the low-owned plays in my lineup will trigger that tweet. I don't know who that is yet, because I don't know who I'm going to play exactly. And Anderson low-owned, Joe Ingles tournament plays. I think that's probably too cute with the value that we have. We have a lot of Suns value. We have some Pistons value. Nerlens Noel, right? I think he's a pretty solid play. So I think going to Ingles is probably a bit too cute. Like if we didn't have a lot of very shorthanded teams like the Suns and Pistons tonight, then Ingles would be a playable value option. But yeah, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it tonight. Diallo at 4.4. So I'm not a big fan of Diallo, especially at that price point on FanDuel. You do have Bojan Bogdanovic back, so that's just one more body in the rotation. I believe Isaiah Livers is going to be available too. So like, I am kind of worried about Diallo's minutes. I think he would be someone that I'm willing to just fade. If he goes for like 27 fancy points in 20 minutes, whatever it was last game, then so be it. But yeah, there's a couple more bodies now in the rotation. He didn't even close in a blowout too, so that is also like a bit worrisome. If he's not going to close in a competitive game, and he won't close in a blowout either, so like, right? How do you know good chalk from bad chalk? It just depends, right? If like good chalk would be, I don't know, a backup point guard that's like close to the min price that's starting and going to see a big minutes bump, like that would be the definition of good chalk. Questionable chalk or bad chalk would be like on a slate where there's not a lot of value and there's just like the whole field is kind of gravitating towards one or two plays, and you have a lot of guys that look like similar to them that are coming in like less ownership. So that would be what I would define as bad chalk, or just the field being overly confident in a play where they really shouldn't be. Sadiq Bey, I don't know what to make of him, man. I played him on the early slate the other day. He went for like 8 fancy points in like 30 minutes. Bojan's back. He probably loses some minutes. I think we see somewhere in the neighborhood of like 25 to 30 viable, but I think there's other value I'd rather get to. Favorite game stacks? Well, I think that late game Houston and Sacramento makes for a pretty good game stack. I think Chicago, Washington, both teams shorthanded. We don't know the status yet of some of the Wizards, but the Bulls, we know DeRozan's doubtful. So that's a high total game. I think Chicago, Washington, and then Sacramento and Houston probably the two games I like the most. Dillon Brooks under 15.5. I kind of like where you're going there. We got like a 14.5 point total or whatever, 14.5 point spread in that Memphis game. And there's a pretty good chance that it doesn't stay competitive. So like he's like, projections have him like right around that mark, but I think you could do a slip where you go like a couple of Memphis guys unders, maybe pair with one of those Spurs. So I think that's a viable strategy tonight, right? That's something I'm gonna highly consider making a couple blowout slips tonight where I take a lot of unders. Collins will go 50 bomb tonight without Trey. If they can stay out of foul trouble, like they're ceiling, but look at the matchup, right? They're going up against Giannis, and both are very foul prone, so it worries me a bit. Seems like the Memphis games are blowouts. Any interest in that game? If it stays competitive, I think John Morant's a fine spend up at the top. I think Trey Jones, Pirtle, Josh Richardson are all like playable, but there's not a lot. I think there's more downside to that game than upside. I don't really see like there's no one that's like really underpriced in that Memphis game, so I'm just more willing to fade, I think, than get exposure to it. Jaren Jackson or Gobert. I like Gobert better. His minutes have ticked up. Naz Reid's minutes have ticked down. Jaren Jackson, you got John Morant back. Plus, I don't think Jaren Jackson's going to continue to average like 6 blocks and steals a game. Like, he is a really good shot blocker. He is. But it's gotten to a point where, like, all right, it's like he's not going to keep that up. Like Sengun tonight. If Sengun plays over 30 minutes, I like him quite a bit. His minutes are always kind of up and down. You never really know. But if you get like 35 minutes from Sengun, I think he's a really good tournament play. Bones Sadiq play tonight. I just don't love the price point for him. Plus, like thinking through the rotation, he's probably not going to close if the game's like a massive blowout. Like they're going to empty the bench and go to like Ish Smith. So like you'll get a little bit of run probably from Bones in the fourth quarter, but because he'll come in like end of the third, probably play a shift like midway through the fourth, and then get subbed out. Assuming the game's like completely out of hand, right? Dyson Daniels and Bridges or Hunter and Monk if Herter's out. If Herder is out, I think I'd rather go Hunter and Monk. Yeah, I like the ceiling on Monk more if Herder's out. A little bit more confident in his minutes. I think Terrence Davis would start in that situation. But yeah, Monk would be the ceiling play there. Sun starters got announced already? Well, is Landell actually going to start, or are they going to go to Biyombo this time, right? Because they announced Landell starting, and then Biyombo ended up starting. I was just like, what is that? Like a complete troll job from the Suns. You can't do that. I mean, if I had to guess who the Suns starters would be, I would say I think Biyombo would start. I think he's the better defender of the two, so I think they would want to start him off on Jokic. Starch game, just luck and big outliers, he higher usage. I mean, he's going to be a high usage player, but I don't think we can expect a triple double from him again. I think Sarge is going a little bit overowned right now. Like if he's gonna pick up a lot of the ownership for Suns value, then I might be more willing to look elsewhere. Maybe a Damian Lee, maybe a Josh Okogie, maybe one of the centers. So while I think Sarge is a good play, I do think at the moment he's going a little bit overowned. Definitely stack the Houston-Sacramento game. If it stays competitive, that's a high total game, right? That's a game I could definitely see shooting out it's a 14-point spread, the Phoenix-Denver game. But yeah, 236.5 in that Houston-Sacramento game. DeAndre Hunter on rebounds, 4.5. So I think DeAndre Hunter's going to play a ton. He should. Let's see. If I had to lean one way, I got him a little over 4.5. So I think if I had to lean one way, I would lean the over, but not like a super strong take there. Not one. I don't think I would go. Like I don't think I would take that myself. But if I had to say one side of it, I think I would take the over in that one. What sites do you use for research? A lot. I use Add More Funds for like usage rates, players on off the court. Stochastic has some good tools that I use. Looking at just sportsbooks odds in general. So a good amount of stuff. I'll probably make a video just for people ask about like what I look for when taking player props. So I'll probably make a video for that relatively soon. Great example, Bad Chalk. Mine so is Dame 20%, 9,500. I thought Dame was a bit overowned last slate. Of all the Suns' value, do you consider Damian Lee to be the least valuable since he's so score independent? Well, I mean, he's going to play, like, the Suns really don't have, like, many point guards, so, like, he kind of will play point at times. He had 4 assists last game, so he's kind of, like, thrown into a different role. When Dwayne Washington's not in the court, like, he will do some of the ball handling. So he's not as score independent as he would be if he was playing alongside, like, Booker and Paul. You could play both LaVine and Vooch. I think that's fine. I think that the two Bulls right now look really good. DeMar DeRozan not likely to play. You got a really good matchup for Chicago, and they should play like 40 minutes. So I think both look good. Look at factoring in ownership though. You got LaVine a lot more popular than Vooch, and while I think it's easier to get to LaVine, I don't think he should be like 3x the ownership of Vucevic. So I like both, and I think Vooch is going a bit underowned, or LaVine's going a bit overowned right now. Thoughts on Halliburton tonight? Kind of just indifferent on him. Fair price point, I think, does have a ceiling. Don't love the matchup. I mean, it's fine. He's just kind of just there. Don't love him, don't hate him. If you landed him as contrarian spend up, that's fine. He's not picking up a ton of ownership. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to start my lineups with Halliburton. Look, CJ tonight, what's his ownership? CJ, I like the ceiling on him. I played him a low ownership last slate, and it would have worked out, if they gamed it. Well, it did. He still went for 50 in a blowout, but he's pretty low owned. Because he's just in that range where you got, DeJounte Murray, you got the two Bulls. So those guys are just picking up more ownership than CJ. I think CJ is a fine way to get different. I do. If the game stays competitive, you're most likely seeing a pretty big game from CJ. Thanks, TK. Appreciate it. Yeah, man. How do we get different on this slate? Well, I don't think you have to get too crazy, right? Like I talked about this last night in the Patreon stream, how I thought the chalk was really good, and I didn't want to get like too far away from it. So, I mean, I don't think you have to get like too contrarian in this slate. I think most of the chalk is pretty good chalk, right? Suns value, I think it's good chalk. They're just really shorthanded. The Bulls guys, DeJounte, so I don't think you have to get too far off the board. Yeah, how you specifically get different is kind of up to you. I would say look to try to get to a couple contrarian pieces, one or two. But still, I wouldn't go too crazy fading a lot of the chalk. Any interest in Keegan Murray? If Herder gets ruled out, I think he looks a little bit better. Biombo played 17 minutes last night with 0 fouls. Really don't get it. They went a little bit small against Golden State with Saric. So I think Biombo could play more in this game against Jokic. So I think Biombo is intriguing to me for value. You think Drew Holiday's going to be chalky today? If we didn't get some of the Bulls and Hawks, like if we didn't get like DeMar DeRozan getting ruled out and Trae Young getting ruled out, Drew would have been very popular. He's still getting ownership, and I think he's still underpriced. I think Drew Holiday should be about an 8K player, and he's 7.2. Don't think he's on a limit anymore. Dealt with some foul trouble, still played 34 minutes, so I do like Drew. He's not going to be like massive chalk, but he's not going to be low owned either. Like Ja points, I'm probably just going to stay away. I'm not confident in the Spurs keeping the game competitive. And with Ja, I think he's at 28.5, right? So again, I think you could possibly take some unders here. And hope the game blows out, because I think that 28.5 point mark, not saying he can't hit in 3 quarters, but it's pretty unlikely that he does. And I'm not really confident that he's going to play fourth quarter minutes. Atlanta Milwaukee blowout, it's a 4.5 point spread, so not super worried about it. Go with Vooch rebounds. Well, talked about a couple that I took. I took CJ less than 41.5 and Tatum less than 4.5 assists. I'll say if Keldon Johnson plays, I think Ray Jones less than 15.5 points looks pretty good. So that's kind of if then. Keldon may or may not play. I think it's closer to 50-50. But if he gets rolled in, I think Ray Jones less than 15.5 points looks pretty good. Plus, again, you get another out where, like, if the game blows out, it's more likely to hit. DeJounte Murray must play. I don't think he's an absolute must, but he's definitely stands out as one of the best plays of the slate. Any interest in Rui? Yes, but it's dependent on the Wizards, right? I don't know about Porzingis. I don't know about Gafford yet. So if all those guys are out, I think Rui's going to look good and could possibly play some backup 5. So basically, we just got to keep an eye on the news. Kuzma going to be lower owned than he should be, even if Porzingis is out. I think he'll get ownership. I think if Porzingis is out, I think Kuzma is going to be one of the better plays kind of in that range. Like, I think he'll be right there with like the Bulls and DeJounte. So I would like Kuzma quite a bit. Playing Jock and Biombo, you can. I think you can play them both. I don't think you really see a ton of Sarge at the 5 tonight. So I think we'll get close to 48 minutes from Jock, Lando, and Biombo. Vooch Nugget Wizards, rushed by Biggs, have 3,800 left in utility. You're looking for one more guy at 3,800. I mean, probably one of those Suns. If you want the chalk, just go Dario Saric. He's picking up a lot of ownership. Also, Mikal Bridges should get another high usage game 52. If you think the game stays competitive, he's going to be a pretty good play, but that's a big if. Drew is first man in for me. I think he's underpriced. You different? Would you rather pivot off high price chalk like DeJounte? I think I'd be more willing to get different with the value as it stands right now. As it stands at this moment, I think I'd be a little bit more willing to get different with the value plays. Are you seeing big ownership that? Are you seeing any big ownership that seems overowned? Well, again, I mentioned I think Saric, while I think he's a good value, I think he's going a little bit overowned compared to some of the other Suns' value. Nothing else is like super surprising to me. I'll say if RJ Barrett plays, yeah, the ownership's probably going to drop in Brunson. But there's nothing like no super strong takes. I will say keep an eye on the Suns starting lineup. I think there's an outside chance that you don't get Dwayne Washington in the starting lineup. They didn't close with Dwayne Washington. They closed with Damian Lee. So they could technically start like Damian Lee at the point and go like Lee, Craig, Bridges, one of the bigs, and Saric. Like they could do that. So if Dwayne Washington doesn't start, then I would say he's going over-owned. But if he starts, I think that ownership's fair. Reference to your Biombo insight, that would mean Sarge is a little less run in the scenario. Well, I think Sarge will still play some good amount at the 4 in a competitive game. I don't think you're going to see a ton of Sarge to the 5 against Jokic. I could be wrong in that, but I think you'll see mostly Biyombo and Lando. Like Sarge matched up well against Golden State, right? And that's why they want a bet with him at the 5. Best guard below 7,100. Okay, let's take a look. There's no one I really like here. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of Bane at that price with job back. Jamal Murray, I mean, I like his ceiling, but I have zero confidence that game stays competitive. Trey Jones, like no matter who's in, who's out, he's just giving you like 30 fancy points. I really don't like anyone. If gun to my head, if I had to pick, it would be Jamal Murray and just pray the game stays competitive. But yeah, I don't really like much there. Thoughts on Noel and Sarge again? I think Noel's pretty decent value. So Noel played 16 first half minutes, so he was on pace for over 30 if the game stayed competitive. Minnesota's also a big team, and he's really their only true big. So if the game stays close, I think you get close to that 30-minute mark. Noel's about a point per minute guy. So I think he stands as a pretty good value, and Sarge also stands out as a good value. I just think, again, he's going a little bit over-owned as it stands right now. But, you know, if you get like 30 minutes again from Dario Saric at 3.5, like he's most likely going to have a pretty good game. I don't think we get this again, right? I think the most likely scenario for Saric is probably 25 to 30 minutes and probably like 25 fancy points, like somewhere around there. So I think he stands as a good point per dollar value, but there's other value plays that are in that range I think have a similar ceiling. What do you predict Bulls starting? That's a good question. I really don't know. I think they could go Derrick Jones Jr. or I think they could go Alex Caruso in the starting lineup. So we're going to get Vooch, we're going to get Levine, we're going to get Aya, we're going to get Patrick Williams. The 5th starter, I think he's either going to be Derrick Jones Jr. or Alex Caruso. You think playing Josh Richardson as direct swap off Washington is viable? I probably wouldn't do it unless Washington comes out the bench, but I don't know if we'll get that news before the Spurs game locks. Like Josh Richardson is one of those guys where if the game blows out, which it could, he's not going to be on the court in a blowout. Like he's a veteran, so you would think, oh, that maybe Josh Richardson come out the bench, he would close. No, they would go to like the Spurs actually still have a good amount of guys that could like play in garbage time, like Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley, Romeo Langford. So Josh Richardson, he has been playing well, but he scares me a bit because he's coming out the bench, and I think he won't close in a blowout. Hazer, Bogdan, for me, I think it's Bogdan Bogdanovic. But if the Pistons keep the game competitive, I do like the ceiling on Hayes. We have seen in competitive games, but last game was a blowout, but 35, 36, 34. So I do like his ceiling if it stays competitive, but I think I would lean slightly to Bogdan right now. Favorite play from the Kings and Rockets? I'm just going to say Sabonis right now. I think he's going a bit under-owned at the top end, but that's no surprise. I always like Sabonis. If Herter gets ruled out, then I think Malik Monk becomes a pretty good play at 4-4. Either way, I think Monk's playable. But yeah, I would say either probably Sabonis or Monk. If you're looking on the Houston side, I think Kevin Porter Jr. at 7.8K makes for a decent play. And if you think Sengun plays 30-plus minutes, I like his ceiling a lot. But he's one where I never know what to give him minute. Like I never know what he's going to get minutes-wise. 200 viewers. Oh, wow. We are over, or we did hit 200 viewers. Yeah, guys, if you do enjoy this, make sure to like. Appreciate you guys for watching. I'll stay live for another 5-ish minutes, answer any more questions. CJ or Kuzma. So as it stands right now, I'm going to say CJ. If Porzingis gets ruled out, I think it would be Kuzma. A center I keep coming back to tonight's Mitchell Robinson. If you're ready for pain, play Mitchell Robinson. He is someone where the ceiling's there. Like, the ceiling is clearly there. If he plays mid-30s minutes, like his upside. But gosh, the guy's a frustrating roster. I don't mind it, though. I don't mind it. Rank Noel, Bismack, Landale, Taj if he starts. Ooh. I'll say I'm probably the most confident in Noel because he doesn't really have a true backup, right? Noel doesn't have a true backup where Taj, they can go to Vernon Carey, they can go to Rui. The Suns are going to split the center position, maybe a little bit of a run for Saric. I think the most confident I would be in would probably be Noel. And then I'll say Noel, Landale, Biyombo, Taj. Twitter's so fun. Hey, man, appreciate that. I try to keep it good vibes and then make people, well, not good vibes, but I try to make people laugh. That's my reason on Twitter, right? Try to make people laugh. DFS is a super tilting game. We all know that. So, yeah. AJ Griffin, I mean, he is 3.2. It might be a little bit thin. I think I'd only play him if he starts. I don't think I can stomach him off the bench. Thoughts on Pelicans' wings today? Najee feels priced about right. Trey Murphy has been awful, and he has lost minutes. And then I think Dyson Daniels is the easiest to get to, assuming he starts. So I think he's your best wing play today. I think if he starts, we probably get somewhere around 25 to 30 minutes. So I think he's my favorite play there. Is paying up for Jokic? Paying up for Jokic different, seem low owned? Yes, definitely. I think a lot of the field, including myself, are worried that he only plays 3 quarters. QB Biombo, 3 fouls in 5 minutes. Definitely possible. I do think he starts, though, against Jokic. De'Aaron Fox or Halliburton? I'm going to say Halliburton there. Washington becomes risky with an active Saban Lee. I agree. I think he does become a bit risky if Saban Lee's active. So that I think like Saban Lee is relatively important news. Wide Kuzma played 23 minutes, blowout, still only played 30. He got in foul trouble. Yeah, he got in foul trouble last game. Sarge looks like an Uber driver. Like Torrey Craig instead of Sarge. I mean, Torrey Craig's coming in with way less ownership. I think that's a fine way to get different. I think Sarge is the more optimal play, but you can go to Craig over Sarge for leverage. Want to check all 30-man field? Would you play Jokic? Yeah, I think you can play him. Ready for some Eric Gordon tonight? He's always just like, he's going to give you 15 to 20. Every once in a while, he'll bust and go for like 5 fancy points. Levine, 41 fancy score on PrizePicks. Oh, let's see. I mean, probably going to lean the over to see him play so many minutes, but I don't think I would take it. Yeah, I don't think I would take it. Porzingis out. Did we get that news? Well, that's great for my best ball. Literally every one of my best ball team is missing games. So what about Gafford and Kispert? Are those guys out too? Gafford out too. Kispert game time decision. All right. So now we got more value here for the Wiz. I think Kuzma becomes a really good play. He's going to be the clear go-to guy. He got in foul trouble last game, so don't be worried about 23 minutes. Fouled out in 23 minutes, actually. So, like Kuzma, I think they're going to start Taj at the 5 against a big Chicago front court. I think he starts. I think Vernon Carey will see rotation minutes possibly. Or maybe you get some backup 5 run for Rui. But with Porzingis out, I think Rui and Denny now look a lot better too. So, this Wizards value, if Kispert's out too, like, maybe a guy like Will Barton even becomes playable. So, yeah, like if Kispert's out, I'm not sure who they start. Like, I think Taj will start at the 5. Monty Morris will start. Kuzma will start. Like, I know those 3 I'd be pretty confident in would start. Would be Monty Morris, Kuzma, Taj. I mean, I think probably one of Rui or Denny start. Maybe both. Maybe, like, I don't know whether, like, this is something, well, it's an early game, so we'll know. But, yeah, definitely this Wizards value is looking a lot better now. Hope you're well and start running better. Bulls are, hey, man, appreciate that. Bulls are Houston game stack. Right now, it might be the Bulls with both teams pretty shorthanded. The Bulls Wizards game looks good. The only downside is that it's an early game, right? It's an early game, and if you have a lot of exposure, you don't have as much flexibility. Talk about that a lot, but oh yeah, Gafford's out. CJ, okay. CJ and Bridges is a bonus and Monk. I think CJ Bridges looks a little bit better, assuming both games stay competitive, but you have blowout risk in both. So let's say you gotta take some stands in the slate. I think you do. I don't think you sprinkle in guys here, sprinkle in there. I think you just go all right, I'm gonna play for a blowout in this game. I'm gonna play for a blowout in this game. I'm gonna hope this game stays competitive. I think you gotta take some pretty strong stances in tournaments tonight. Prince Lander or Noel? Right now, Noel. Just want to say thanks again for helping me win $2,000 last night with the help of your Patreon. Appreciate all the hard work. Hey man, again, that literally those are the best messages. So congrats on the win. Great build too. You played for a competitive game of the Suns. You got to low own Damian Lee, Bridges. That was a great lineup. So yeah, good stuff, man. Congrats again, James. Yes, I like the Wiz Bulls game stack for sure. Wizards news. Yep. Buddy Hield under 2 turnovers. I probably aren't the best person to ask for turnover props. I never really look at them. So yeah, I have no take on that. You like Monte now? Monte becomes playable. Yeah. I I think he'll play more. Like, you might get some DeLon Wright alongside Monte Morris now, just because they're really shorthanded. Like, if Kispert's out, I think you do get some of DeLon alongside Monte. Playing $100 Sungranchi when you had a 1,000-year account 2 years. Were you playing $100 Sungranchi? Yeah, I've been playing $100 Sungranchi since like for a long time. Sometimes, like every once in a while, I'll splurge, go 200 or the 555 here and there. Noel or Gobert with the different price points. Like, both are popular too. I think I like the ceiling more with Gobert, and Gobert's minutes have gone up. But yeah, so that's kind of a hard question to answer because there's different price points. But I think with the way the slate is right now, that it might be a little bit easier to get to Noel. But I like both centers. Rui season, yeah, I want to see what they do the starting lineup, but Rui and Denny should play more for sure. Kuzma over fantasy points. What is he at right now? That's not a bad one to take. What's he at? Or do they not have him on the board? I don't see him on the board. Did I hear the name? You did in fact hear the name Taj Gibson, because I think he's going to start. They took down Kuzma. Yeah, you got to act quick. That's one of those things, like, when I'm streaming, I'm not going to be able to react to news like that and get bets personally, but I would recommend, like, that is, I think, the biggest edge in player prop betting is reacting quickly to that news. So, like, you have probably about 30 seconds to a minute to get it in. So I would say, yeah, when you have notifications on for Underdog or whatever updates you use, and then when you get that update, you got to act really, really quick. Stands or catch me. If you want early Suns get waxed. Yeah, I think that's very possible. Back to back, going on the road against one of the best teams right now in the NBA. I think that's very likely. 6.5K utility. So, I think Bridges will probably be the most popular in that range, but he has risk. Sengun has risk. The Pistons guys have some risk. I don't really have any strong takes. I think all those guys have upside, but yeah, thoughts on Nance? So Nance did play alongside JV last game. I think he could play alongside JV again with Herbert Jones out. I think he's a fine contrarian value play. Like, if you give me 25 to 30 minutes from Larry Nance at 4.4, that's not bad. He'll play some 5, and I think he'll play a little bit alongside JV, which we really haven't seen a ton from this year. But he did play alongside JV last game. Over under Murray at 23.5. DeJounte Murray, are we talking about? Or Keegan Murray? I'm guessing that's DeJounte Murray points. There's so many Murrays. Are we talking about DeJounte Murray points? Is that the question? Nance or Keegan Murray? It's just tough because both have risk. I'll say Keegan Murray. I think going Keegan Murray makes a little bit more sense. Nance is that's an earlier game, right? If I'm ever torn, I always lean towards the later game because flexibility for late swap. Was it Koji? Yes. I'm 90% sure Koji will play in a blowout. Would you take Vucevic points and rebounds over? What's that at? He is at 31.5 points, rebounds. Let's see. Refreshing a couple things. So once again, looks like that feels about right. Yeah, that his projection's right at that mark. I think though, I would lean the over. I'm not matchup he's gonna have Dusty Taj Gibson on him, or Vernon Carey Jr. No DeRozan. Projections have him right about that mark, but I think I would take the over. Yeah. And why would you take Levine? Would you take Levine over points as well? I don't know if I would take both. You can. I think I would take one or the other. Levine's at 20.5. I think I would slightly prefer the Vooch one. Points with Trey out. Okay, so yeah, I mean, Jonte gets a pretty big usage bump with Trey Young out. He's at 23.5. Yep, I think slight lean to the over on that one as well. Slight lean. It looks like it did get bumped though, a point already. Vooch over points and assists. Yeah, so I think I would slightly prefer the Vooch one to Levine, but I'm fine with both. I don't know if I would place them both together though. I mean, you could do that. Like another viable strategy when you're building out prize picks is like you can kind of back up a game and take a lot of overs and hope it just shoots out. Like Levine, Vooch, maybe pair it with like Kuzma and hope, the total goes over by like 20 points or something. Like that's I've talked about some blowout slips. You could also go the other way and take a lot of overs and hope it's just, no defense played shootout. Yeah. So I think I slightly prefer the Vooch one to the Levine prop, but that's because I'm looking at like the individual match. I don't know if individual matchup too much, but like he's gonna have Taj Gibson on him. He's gonna have Taj Gibson. That's on Langford and Denny. No real interest in Langford. I think Denny's a solid play. I want to see what the Wizards do with the starting lineup, though. Kobe White or Caruso. I think Caruso, assuming he starts. Gobert. Like Gobert, he's a pretty popular play. His minutes have ticked up, and it's a good matchup. So I think Gobert's a good play in both formats. All right, guys. So I think I'm going to wind it or call it on that. We want almost 45 minutes, actually. So I'm going to get ready to go stream for Patreon here in a bit, but thanks again for watching. Appreciate it. We hit almost 200 concurrent viewers. We're at 40 likes. So thanks again. Try to do more of these as always. Gobert over rebounds and assists. Probably stay away. Levine, Kuzma, Murray. Yeah, I mean, that's those guys look good for DFS for sure. Like the upper mid range, I think is looking really good. You got Murray, you got the Bulls, you got Kuzma now. Could be even more guys. Maybe the Knicks guys if Barrett's out. So there's some good plays in that range. Well, good luck tonight, guys. If you're playing the Millie Maker, which I know a couple of you guys are, good luck in that one. Hope to see you guys at the top, and we'll see you guys out back here in the next stream. So, see you guys.